Jitto miro. Jitto. Something like this. Jitto miro. So this one is just like to stare at you. So jitto miro. No, I use that. Ah, I see, I see. So. Ji or jiro jiro miro. Jiro jiro miro, I guess you can say is the full word. So then next one we have steru. So steru means to throw away, and the particle you use it is o. Nani o steru. For example, like you want to say you throw the trash, then you say trash in Japanese is mi. Gomi. And then gomi o steru. So gomi o steru. So this is how you use steru to throw away. So steru. And then the next one is hajimeru. So hajimeru is actually the word for to begin or to start. For example, like I want to say, let's start the class. Jugyo hajimemasu. So, jugyo hajimemasu. Hajimemashite. So, hajimemashite actually comes from the word hajimeru too. But it's a combination which kind of means like it's my first time meeting you. Hence, in a context, in another way, it means nice to meet you. So, hajimemashite. It's nice to meet you because it's my first time meeting you. Something like that. So, because there's also another word like this, hajimete. Hajimete. So this one it means first time. So, hajimete, hajimeru. So that is jiro jiro miru, tsuteru, and hajimeru. The next one we have irregular verb. So this one irregular verb is usually ends with suru actually at the end. Suru. Suru. So Kanemi-san, is Kanemi-san here? Oh no, she's not here. Then anyone wants to read this one? Ella, you want to try? I see. I don't want to try. Okay, no worries. Okay, then anyone wants to try this one? No worries. well, no worries, no worries. Kaicho, do you want to try it?
はい。
うん。
運転する。
And then?
洗濯する。
Next one?
掃除する。
This one?
電話する。
And the last one?
料理する。
So. So the first one we have untensuru. So usually the irregular verb is like a noun plus with suru. So suru itself means to do. So the first one is untensuru. So unten actually means to drive. So for example, you want to say you're driving a car, then you say kuruma. Oh. Mati. Kuruma o unten suru. Kuruma o unten suru. So kuruma means car. Kuruma. And then we have sentaku suru. So sentaku suru usually it means to do laundry actually. So 今から洗濯します. I will be doing my laundry after this, something like that. So, and the word for the what you call it, the washing machine is actually sentaki. So basically, they use these two words, sentaku, but they add sentakuki. I say sentakuki. So the ki at the back, the kanji actually means machine. So it's a combination. The sentaku comes from this one, which is to do laundry, and then laundry machine, basically, the washing machine. So sentakuki is washing machine. Sentaku suru. So. And then we have soji suru. So soji actually means to clean or to like macam, basically clean up the room, those kind of stuff. Soji suru. Heya o soji suru. The particle you use is o. For example, heya, which is room. Heya o soji suru. So for example, heya o soji suru. And then we have denwa suru. Denwa suru, which is to call. So if it's denwa by itself, it means phone actually. Phone, denwa. Or it can also means call. So, and then suru means to do. So basically to call lah. So. And the particle they use is ni actually. So, for example, tomodachi ni denwa suru. To call a friend. So. And lastly is ryori suru. So ryori suru means to cook, and the word ryori is actually like, it means like a meal actually. Meal, the ryori part. Ryori. Meal or food actually. So suru to do, so basically is to cook lah, to make the meal. So that is the irregular verb. Irregular verb, basically it ends with suru at the end. And then we have the adverbs and other expressions. So this one I'll just read through. So the first one is itsumo. Itsumo. So itsumo means always. So itsumo. Itsumo, terebi o mimasu. Itsumo game wo shimasu. I always play games or I always watch TV. So, and then we have this too. So this two, I think I've explained this one in the beginners class or like the early chapters. So there's two types, the or . So this one is a bit, the pronunciation is a bit longer. And this one is a bit shorter. And the difference is that the longer one means like no or like like that. But yeah, that's the difference lah. But usually you would use with your friends lah when you're close with that person. And then the next one is which means yes. So the difference in Japanese is kind of like this kind of difference in English. The or that's that kind of different. So always remember the longer one is no, and the shorter one means yes. So, and then the next one we have kanpai. Kanpai. So kanpai is actually cheers or a toast. So especially when they have like a party and a drinking party like that, then they would be like kanpai, cheers with their beers and all. So kanpai, which means cheers or a toast. And then we have zannen, or usually they would say zannen desu ne. So zannen desu ne or zannen actually means that's kind of too bad. For example, like you are 1 mark away to get an A. For example, right now you are B plus and you're one mark away from getting an A, then you'll be like, zannen desu ne, chotto zannen, that kind of feeling. So that's too bad. And then next one is nani nani ni tsuite. So this one is usually you want to talk about something related to something. For example, you want to say about tomorrow's class. So you'll be like, ashita no jugyo no ni tsuite. You add the point that you want to say and then about that. Basically, this ni tsuite means about or concerning about the thing that you wanted to say.
In other words, in relation to.
Yeah, true. In relation to. So. And then the next one is mada nani nani, which is it must end with a negative form. Mada means not yet. So for example, like the word taberu, tabemasu basically. Tabemasu, which means to eat. To eat. But if you add the word mada, which you want to say you haven't eat it yet, you haven't ate yet. So you say mada. You said mada. But this one is a bit something that have related to grammar, which you have to conjugate it to this form. Mada tabete imasen. So this one is something that related to the grammar which we will learn, tabete iru. But if you notice, if you use mada, you have to end this verb or the sentence with a negative form, masen. So if it's the positive form, it's tabe masu, right? But if it use mada, you have to add it with masen, the negative form. So, and lastly is minna de. So minna itself means everyone. Minna itself. Minna, everyone. But if it's you add there, it's basically saying like with everyone. Basically. So minna de. So basically minna de is with everyone. So for example, like minna de gohan shimashou. Let's eat dinner with let's eat lunch or dinner with everyone. So minna de. So far, any questions? 質問ありますか？大丈夫ですか？
大丈夫そうです。
はい。Then, はい、大丈夫です。はい。Then we'll go for the grammar part. So this grammar part is a bit, how do you say? It's not that hard, it's just that it's about changing the form of it. So I think most of, especially beginners, you will learn the Japanese with the mas form, if I'm not mistaken. Most of your sensei teach in mas form, right? Ella, Kisi, and Shazrin.
Hi.
Mas form is like, for example, macam ayat tabemas, kan? Tabemas, it ends with the masnya. So this is what the beginners will always learn, the tabemas, which is the mas form. The reason why they learn this one first is because this is the polite version. So it can be used with anyone, like even the young people or the older people, because it's the polite and normal lah. So mas form. But in this one, what we will learn is what you call the short form, or in other words, is like the informal form of it. So the short form. So for how this short form works is like, for example, like the word tabemas kan. The word tabemas, this is already a mas form. But if you were to change it into a short form, it become taberu. Oh my. So this is the short form, taberu. Another word for short form is what you call it, a dictionary form. The reason why they call it dictionary form is because if you were to buy a Japanese dictionary, like the pure Japanese one, where the words are explained in Japanese itself, they would actually not put tabemas like this, but instead they would put taberu like this. You have to search it in the dictionary form, taberu. So that is the difference lah. So this one is a bit confusing for the new students because it's something that you have to try opening the Japanese dictionary actually to see it. So. And this one I'll show you in later when we go on the beginner's class punya grammar. I will actually teach you how to conjugate some stuff lah, some verbs. So for the verb, basically the short form will become like this. Basically you just remove the mas from it, and then just remain the word itself lah. Like, how do I say? For example, like the one that we learned dekat this new vocabulary, right? You will see that there's u verb, which is all of it ends with the u vowel, ru or u, iu, and then this one is ru. What else we have? Naru or mo u. Everything ends with the u vowel. But if it's the ru verb, everything ends with the ru. The ru hiragana. So there's a difference actually. And some of you might be confused, like kenapa kat sini dia cakap ru verb, but kat sini pun ada ru juga. Well, this one is actually not based on ru, but it's actually the u vowel. This one is a bit confusing, but I will teach you in details later. So basically the verbs, the short form is basically you don't use the mas, you just use the dictionary format. It is pelik-pelik lah Japanese. Yeah, yes. Japanese is quite complicated. So. It's a bit quite complicated. It's a bit hard to actually, it requires a lot of remembering stuff. So for the E adjective, so basically E adjective, you usually add des at the back to make it formal, the long form. Basically the long form is like formal lah. Formal. And the short form is like informal. So the word, for example, the second one would be kawaii. So usually if you want to make it polite, you say kawaii desu. Des. You end with the des. But in the short form, the informal form, you just say the word itself like that. Kawaii. So, kawaii. And then we have the na adjective, which usually, if it's the e adjective, you can just, the difference is the short form lah for the na and e koshi e adjective. This is the difference. But for the formal difference, there's not much different. The formal, you still use des at the end. For the formal, like kawaii desu or shizuka desu or hen desu, for example. But for this one, the difference is that for the e adjective, you just use it as it is, kawaii. But if it's the na adjective, you have to end the word with da. Da. This is how the short form works. So the informal, da. And the same goes for noun. The noun it applies the same as the na adjective. You have to say da for the informal one. Gakusei da. But if it's the formal version, basically you just use this. The thing is that you can just actually use the formal version, so you don't really have to mind this one. But sometimes when you are close with someone, if you keep on using the formal Japanese, they will actually feel quite like as if quite distant from you tau. You feel like you do not really see them as someone close to you. So this is the reason why informal speech actually exists. The informal speech actually shows how close you are to that person. So it's a bit complicated. So. And then for the present tense or the negative, so basically like yomimasu. This one is yomimasu, right? Yomimasu. So yomimasu means to read. So yomimasu is the what you call the present and positive lah. You read, to read. But if you say to not read, the negative form, so basically it will become yomimasu. And I think this one everyone knows. Yonde. Yonde is actually the te form. You call it te form, which is usually used to like ask that person to do that. To ask a person to do it. So So that's why maybe sometimes your sensei might say like, これを読んでください. So they use the te form. So basically they are asking you to read it. So that is the point, the meaning for this form. Oh no. So 読んで. So this one, if it's like the negative one, I think everyone knows yomimasen. It ends with masen. So this one is the formal one, but if you want to change to the informal one, basically you just have to conjugate the word actually. You have to conjugate. This one, I will actually teach for the beginners one later because I already taught the others this one. It will become yoma and then nai, basically at the end. Nai. You have to conjugate. This one will change the hiragana. I mean the vowel. They will change to the A vowel. Yoma nai. So. And then for the others, like the E adjective, so the end, usually you just end with the des for the formal one. But for the informal, the short one, you just end it with nai. But if you guys notice this, there is like shizuka janai. Shizuka janai. Or gakusei janai. So this one you can actually change if you guys remember the other student. You can also say dewa. Nai is here. So, but kawaii kunai, this one is already like you have to be like that because it's the way they conjugate it like that. But for the nai adjective and the noun, this one you can change it to like dewa nai. Shizuka dewa nai. Gakusei dewa nai. So basically to summarize it, it's basically this one lah. This one is something that you have to understand. So verbs and E adjective in the affirmative is basically the same as their dictionary form, except that they just like add des or without the des. But for the na adjective, the na KOC and the noun, is basically you replace the des to da for the short form. Da is the short form. And then the E and na adjective, and then the noun in negative one, is basically you just change the des to nai actually. I mean you drop the des. You just do not use the des kat sini. But you just use the nai. This one is something that is quite important to understand lah. So. Is everyone lol use deny alam. Easy to remember, right? But deny alam. Sometimes Japanese is quite like the pronunciation is quite close to Malay pronunciation actually. This one for new students it might be a bit confusing lah because before you learn this one you have to actually learn how to conjugate some verbs or nouns actually. So it's a bit hard. But don't worry, later I will teach you guys. So what else? This one. So this is how this is related to the conjugation actually. So basically for the ru verb, to conjugate ru verb to a negative form, you take the ru at the end and you replace it with nai actually. So ru verb is actually quite easy to conjugate because you just take the ru and then you replace with nai at the end. This one is the negative lah. Negative form. But the u verb is a bit confusing because you have to change the vowel at the end to a vowel. So this part you guys might be a bit confusing because what I mean is like, for example, like the first word is kaku, which means to write. So this one, all of these are the positive or the, what you call it, the affirmative version. But if you want to make it to the negative version, basically you have to take the last hiragana and then you have to change it to the R vowel. Currently, this one is the U vowel, which is ku. Then you have to change it to the R vowel. It become ka. Do you guys get it? This one? Daijoubu desu ka?
Hi,
Yeah.
Daijoubu desu.
Dia jadi kakak lah.
So, dia akan jadi kaka and then you just add 9 as a tambahan untuk negatif. So basically the what you call it, the U verb kan, it's like you change. So is apa tu, kaku. Take the
Fucking GG, bro.
U vowel
It's been fun playing.
and then change
It's
to
okay,
R
bro. We'll get
vowel.
Silver 2 next month.
R vowel and then
Next
plus with 9 at the end. So basically this is what you have to do.
It's all good.
So
Okay.
take the U vowel at the end, ku, change it to the R vowel, which will become ka, and then just plus a 9, which just to show the negative form. This is how you conjugate to the negative form. So, like what this apa tu, one just said right now, they'll become kakanai. Notice the second, the hiragana at the last will become R vowel, and then you add 9 at the back. Kakanai. So for example, like this one. This one is hanasu. This one is hanasu. So what you have to do is, again, you just take the last hiragana from the U vowel, you change it to the R vowel, which become star, right? And then if you to conjugate it into the negative, you just plus with 9 the back. So it'll become like this one, hanasanai. So far, you guys get it right?
Let's win this.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's fucking win this.
so
I guess
this
so.
you guys so this one is a bit confusing and it requires a lot of like you trying to conjugate a lot of words, because back then even my sensei would just show us like a verb and then you have to conjugate it by just looking at the verb to negative form. So they would just show like kaku, right? And we have to just straight away think of the negative form, which will become kakanai. So
GG, easy.
this one requires practice. And again, matsu, the next one, for example, matsu. This one, the N is like su, U vowel. So again, the U vowel, you just have to take the U vowel and change it to the R vowel. So tadi tu yang matsu. This one, if you change it to the R vowel, it become ta. If you look at the apa tu, hiragana punya table, it become ta. And then just plus 9 kat end. Then it will become mata nai, the negative form. So that is how you conjugate lah for the U verb. Negative. And then for irregular verb, so this one irregular verbs kan, this one is better to memorize because there's not a lot. There's only suru and kuru. And then also aru. So this one is better to memorize because they don't really have a formula for this one. Unlike like this one is actually a formula where you can use to conjugate the ru verb. I mean the U verb. But for the irregular verbs, it's better to memorize. So from suru, you will actually become shinai, the negative form. Suru will become shinai. And then kuru will become konai. So if you notice, there's no, like it's not the same as this one. So it's better to memorize this one, these three lah especially. And then lastly, aru, which means there is, basically it will become nai. So that's it. So this is also a part where you have to look carefully and understand lah. So this is for the verb part. So basically, this short form is usually used to show like in conversation lah. Like I said, it shows the sign of intimacy, meaning it shows that how close you are to that person. That's why you use the informal form. And then you can also use it for the grammar of this one. This one will be learning in the grammar kat bawah nanti. So meaning thing that I think, to say like something that I think she did that, or I think she said that. It kind of means that meaning. And then it can also be used for negative requests. For example, you want to say, do not eat that bread. So you have to use the negative form. It will become 食べないでください. 食べないでください. Nai form. The negative form. And then there's also this one. This one we also will learn in the grammar kat bawah nanti. So far, are you guys okay with the short form? 大丈夫ですか? 進まりますか? I know
arimasen.
I don't know if 大丈夫 or not. Don't worry, Ella. This one I actually have to explain the other one, which is supposed to be the beginner part lah. The way to conjugate the verbs actually. So don't worry, this one will cover again in the beginner's class. The simpler version. InsyaAllah 大丈夫. そうそうそう. 大丈夫. And of course, nanti when doing that part, if you have any question, you can just ask lah. So that is how you do the short form. Okay. The next one will be learning is informal speech. So below the above part, we learn how to make it into a short form. And the next part is how we use the short form to make an informal speech. Basically, is what this grammar is about. How to use the short form to make into informal speech. So informal speech, as I mentioned, is usually used for someone who you are very close with. For example, your friends, your family, or someone younger than you. But do not use this with someone who is older than you, or someone you don't really know, or someone you really respect. So that is the dangerous part of using the informal speech. You have to differentiate on or know who you're talking to. So this one recommended use with close family members. Or friends. Or what you call it, your junior lah. Should be okay. Am I spelling junior properly?
Actually,
Go
that's
high.
fine. Yeah, the junior is fine. Go high is fine.
Yeah, go high. So go high. You can use this. The informal speech. So how do you differentiate a formal speech and informal speech? So maybe first, maybe Shaji, you can read this one first.
どんな音楽を聴く?
So. どんな音楽を聴く? So if you see, this one is actually the informal speech. Then you say, what is the difference with the formal speech? So if you were to write it in formal speech, it will become like this. どんな音楽を聴きますか? So the formal version, you will always use the must form. So, 聴きますか? But if it's the informal version, basically you use the short form. 聴く. どんな音楽を聴く? However, the formal version, if you notice the formal version, there's this hiragana ka, which actually indicates the question mark. If you know, ka at the end of the sentence indicates a question mark. However, when you change it into an informal speech, you do not put ka at the end. This one, you do not put it. So it'll just become, at the end is ku. But how do you make it sound like it is a question? So basically you just end the sentence with a rising intonation. For example, donna ongaku wo kiku, for example, that the intonation is like a bit up, you rise it up. Daijoubu? So that is how you ask a question in informal speech. You raise the intonation up. And make sure you do not add the ka. You don't add the ka at the end for informal speech. So far, 大丈夫ですか?
Hi, Daijobu sensei, Daijobu.
Mm-hmm.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. You have any question, you can just stop me or you can just ask after class. Don't worry, okay?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then we have what else next? Maybe Kanemi, they want to try reading? This I know Kanemi's mic is open, but I cannot hear her.
Yeah.
Oh no. I cannot hear Kanemi. Okay. Yeah, ナイアスじゃないとではないと思う。みやりさんは2年生。そうそうそうそう。みやりさんは2年生。和田さん。音楽を。And then we have みやりは2年生。So we have みやりさんは2年生。Basically, you do not end with the des because this one is the what you call it, the informal speech, informal speech, so not the formal speech. So you just say みやりさんは2年生. Or if you want to make it a bit softer skit, then you can just say みやりさんは2年生だよ. So だよ. So this one. You just add だよ at the back. But of course, the intonation plays a important part lah, role. So. However, you can also just say without the yo, which is みやりさんは2年生だ. However, this one sounds a bit hard lah, macam it's not, doesn't sound so soft. So yes, だよ. So, だよ. And then for casual conversation is where we replace hi and yeah with and the one that we learned in the new vocabulary. So,
Sensei.
yes.
Actually, there is if I'm not mistaken, there is actually a rarely used second person pronoun. Yo, apparently it's what it's called, and I've only seen one person throughout my time learning Japanese use it. There's only one person.
Yo.
Yo as a second person pronoun left in the chat.
For example, like, what is that?
Like for example, yo no camera, yo no mic.
Huh?
Because apparently a VTuber in whole life actually uses it. Her name is Nakiri Ayame, and she's best known for that kanji actually. Like she says yo da yo, and usually uses that kanji.
I see. I guess the reason why she used yo is because she's using that kanji. Because
Yeah.
the kanji is the reading of yo. But if it's for true. Then in that case, it's more the terms of the name lah. She's referring herself as her name lah. For example, you know how people would refer, like, for example, Mizuki lah. You know, they refer their self with their own
They
name.
refer to them by their own name, but her name is Nakiri Ayame.
Then I guess.
Kaicho?
No, Kaicho didn't say anything.
Okay, so basically the yo in the chat box is a second second person pronoun, if I'm not mistaken, and it refers to you. So apparently, I think that's what I heard.
That one I did not know. Actually. I didn't know that. I guess it's also a part of like what you call in Japanese you call it tokucho, which is in other ways kind of like a specialty meaning, which makes that person special lah. It's like their what you call it. Dorang punya how do you say it? Like it's a word that a certain only that person uses to show that it's them. Tokucho. I guess that is why that VTuber uses that. Okay. So height is the short one.
Actually, no. I actually look back at Jisho.org,
Mm-hmm.
and apparently the yo in that kanji I can actually be referred to as a first person pronoun. Hang on. According to Jisho.org, on reading compounds, the on reading compounds, if it's pronounced as yo, it can mean as other, another, remaining, leftover, over, more than, and endemic to this Nakiri Ayame, I and me. So basically, it's actually a first person pronoun. So basically, when she said yo, dayo, she actually said it's me, basically.
I see. I see. Former or ordinary first person. I guess it have different. It's a actually orang kata apa? First person pronoun is rarely used actually. People rarely use this one, so it's quite. I guess that's why that VTuber uses it. It's because it is something that people rarely use, so it can be something that is orang kata it's a specialty for that VTuber actually. I guess that's why. But yes, in that kanji actually have a lot of meaning. It can also mean like more than or like it's actually the kanji of amari, which is left over there's more than one. So I guess that is why they use that yo kanji. So hi is yes. And it is short. And then there's no, which is longer. So you can use this one with your friends if your friends say like apa tu pao tabemasu ka? For example, do you want to eat bread? Then you can say like taberu or taberu, which is the short form. Taberu, which is yes, I'll eat. Or if you don't want it, you say tabenai, which is the short form of negative. So far 大丈夫ですか皆さん?
daijoubu. By the way, in the chat box, this is the exact GIF or clip that Nakiri Ayame said, yo, dayo.
I see. Then I guess it's something that is the what you call tokucho. I can't remember the word for in the English word for tokucho. my Nihongo tokucho. Yeah, feature or trait. Trait is the word tokucho. ちょっと待って。
はい、先生、続きはどうぞ。
ちょっと待って。特徴 trait. Yeah. It's a word that I keep on forgetting. Trait or characteristic. So, there is only 7 minutes left. Actually, I think I'll stop here because I'm afraid that the next one might take a long time to explain. So, yes, that's for today's class. Is there any question for anything?
質問はありません。じ
はい。
ゃあ、お先に失礼します。
はい。お疲れ様でした。